Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Shanna Fold.
And I'm Yochanan El Rome.
In our top story, Israel mourns after a father of 3 was murdered in a terror attack in the city of Tel Aviv. Last week, 42-year-old family man Chen Amir was killed while working as a municipal patrolman. Amir and his partner approached a man they thought to be suspicious while on patrol in Tel Aviv. They called out to the terrorist asking him to stop. When there was no reply, they got off their motorcycles and approached by foot. The suspicious man then took out a gun and shot him in the head. Amir's partner immediately fired at the terrorist, neutralizing him and killing him. Amir hung on for life a bit, but sadly succumbed to his wounds. Israel's security service, the Shin Bet, has taken some suspects into custody that they believe are linked to the attack.
The IDF successfully prevented a violent attack by a Jenin-based cell, resulting in the death of 3 terrorists. The squad leader was reportedly receiving orders from Gaza-based terror bosses. The operation was executed on Highway 60 in Samaria, near the community of Mevo Dotan. There have been a number of other incidents where Palestinian terrorists have killed Jewish residents while driving on roads in this area. Israeli security forces moved swiftly to thwart this imminent attack. The action was conducted during daylight hours with a minimal impact on innocent civilians who were in their cars waiting for the standoff to end. The terrorists were intercepted mid-operation, and officers seized an M16 rifle and ammunition from their vehicle. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked the security forces and emphasized that Israel will continue to act against those who intend to harm the Jewish people.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is telling the world he is confident in achieving some form of normalization with Saudi Arabia, citing an economic corridor connecting Asia through the Arabian Peninsula to Europe, which could be very useful for the nations in terms of trade and access. Both Jerusalem and Washington have hinted at progress in normalizing relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Netanyahu downplayed the significance of the Palestinian issue in negotiations, despite conflicting views from Persian Gulf sources. He states Israel will not compromise its security, but believes there is room to discuss possibilities for more Palestinian governance.
An Israeli hospital called Mayane HaYeshua Medical Center was hit by a ransomware cyber attack that caused the hospital's computer systems to fail. However, the medical equipment was not affected and patient treatment was able to continue. The Health Ministry and the Israel National Cyber Directorate jumped into action to manage the event in collaboration with the hospital staff. Outpatient and imaging clinics were temporarily closed, and patients were advised to seek nearby hospitals for care. The hospital stressed the attack only impacted administrative systems and did not harm medical treatments or patients.
Israel's public broadcasting corporation Kan 11 is going through a bit of a crisis with its Arabic language news site Makan. Arabic text released on the site referred to Israel's Galilee region as, quote, occupied northern Palestine, while reporting on a story about a car accident involving an IDF vehicle. After public outrage, the wording was removed. Experts say this is part of a Palestinization process in Israeli public broadcasting in Arabic, with examples like special anti-Israel events highlighted and making attacks on the government. Communications Minister Shlomo Kari previously addressed concerns about these issues with Kan's Arabic broadcasts. The B'Tselmo human rights organization is calling for an investigation and the possible firing of the employee responsible for the wording, stating anyone calling Israel an occupied country has no place in the Israeli Public Broadcasting Corporation.
Israel is planning to ease travel for Palestinian Americans from the Gaza Strip next month as part of preparations to join the long-anticipated U.S. visa waiver program. Citizens of the Hamas-run enclave have not been included in the program on the Israeli side, leading to protest and pressure from Washington. By September 15th, Palestinian Americans in Gaza who satisfy Israel's security criteria will be able to enter Israel on B-2 tourist visas and fly out of Ben Gurion International Airport. The goal is to include them in the visa waiver pilot, which Jerusalem supports because it also means that Israelis will be able to enter the United States without a visa. In order to make it happen, Israel must satisfy certain criteria by September 30th, which will then allow citizens to enter the U.S. visa-free by November.
Computing giant and chip powerhouse Nvidia is experiencing a big increase in job vacancies in Israel, with 156 new positions added in the past week alone, bringing the total to 250 vacancies. The surge in hiring comes after the company's announcement in May about developing key products in Israel, including the Israel One supercomputer. Nvidia opened new offices in Tel Aviv last year and has offices in other locations across Israel as well. The current recruitment follows a previous slowdown in hiring attributed to global macroeconomic struggles and rising inflation. Nvidia's stock has been on the rise, becoming the first chip company to reach a market value of more than $1 trillion.
Princeton University's upcoming course, Decolonizing Trauma Studies from the Global South, will include the book, The Healing Humanities, The Right to Maim by Jasbir Puar. The author alleges Israel has harvested Palestinian organs and supplemented its right to kill with the right to maim. Puar is a professor at Rutgers University who has previously accused Israel of ethnic cleansing. All of these statements are entirely untrue. Stop Anti-Semitism, a nonpartisan organization, gave Princeton a B- score in evaluating American universities for an anti-Semitic climate. While the university's Near Eastern Studies Department faculty approved the book for the course, other professors are criticizing it and saying the content lacks educational value.
Amazon Web Services has launched AWS Israel region, which is located in Tel Aviv. It's all a part of a $7.2 billion investment in Israel that will last until 2037. An AWS region is a geographic area with separate availability zones. The launch offers Israeli developers advanced tools and infrastructure for faster application deployment and utilization of new AWS services. The move benefits startups, enterprises, government agencies, and educational institutions. The Israeli government is a major beneficiary and selected AWS for the Nimbus project to modernize government services and foster innovation. Yali Rothenberg, Israel's accountant general, says she expects to see a digital transformation and improved customer experience. AWS is expected to boost Israel's job market with the addition of more than 7,700 jobs supported annually, and a projected $13.9 billion boost to GDP by 2037.
The Congressional Israel Allies Caucus in Paraguay is set to relaunch, hoping to strengthen ties between the South American country and the Jewish state. As one of 52 pro-Israel caucuses globally, the Israel Allies Foundation creates communication and collaboration between those who support Israel's right to a peaceful existence. The relaunch coincides with the upcoming inauguration of President Santiago Peña of Paraguay. He has pledged his support for relocating the Paraguayan embassy to Jerusalem. This move was one of Peña's election promises, indicating his commitment to strengthening bilateral ties with Israel.
Israeli-Canadian billionaire Sylvan Adams, who is a prominent figure in Israeli competitive cycling, won the world championship in the 65-69 age group at the Cycling World Championships in Scotland. Adams, the owner of the Israeli premier tech cycling team, took 2 first-place finishes in both the Masters age group and the individual time trial. Adams took up cycling in his 40s and has previously won international competitions, but this victory holds special significance as his first world championship as an Israeli cyclist. He previously entered competitions representing Canada. Adams has been a major supporter of cycling in Israel and has contributed to the establishment of cycling institutions and initiatives around the country. His philanthropy extends into the fields of science, space exploration, medical centers, and the arts. That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask Thesaurus with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask Thesaurus. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here in our beautiful studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Eliana Mandell. She's the director of the Kobe Mandell Foundation. Eliana, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Tell our viewers a little bit about what is the Kobe Mandell Foundation.
So the Kobe Mandell Foundation is a foundation for bereaved families who've lost a mother, father, sister, or brother. We have camps and support groups in order to just help families get through life.
Tell us a little about Kobe Mandell. His story touched the hearts of many people here. It was something that the nation of Israel grieved when it happened. Can you tell us a little about it?
Yeah, so Kobe was 13 years old. He was my brother when he was murdered. He and his friend Yosef Ishran went hiking in the canyon near our home, and they were stoned to death there.
And how has this shaped the efforts of the Kobe Mandell Foundation?
So the moment my father heard that Kobe was murdered, he knew that he wanted to do something in Kobe's name. And during the Shiva and the Shloshim, he started working on what he wanted to do in Kobe's name. And then when we kids started coming home with stories about how misunderstood we are, he understood that what he wanted to do was help families who've gone through terror and bereavement cope with life and deal with each other.
So this foundation works with the victims of terror attacks, but what are some of the actual things they do?
So we have camps for 400 bereaved brothers and sisters and orphans. We have support groups, we have retreats, and we have courses that we provide for families.
And what are some of the results that you're seeing from these activities?
The kids come out of camp, first of all, they start talking about their bereavement. They feel like they're not alone anymore. And they go home and they talk to their parents, and they've never spoken to their parents anymore before. This is the first time they speak to their parents and talk to them about what they're feeling. We give them words and we give them the sense of community.
You know, there's been a lot of terror attacks in 2023, stabbing attacks, road rammings. How do you identify people to participate in these programs?
So first of all, they're all over the news. And also, they reach out to us. They know about us and they just come. We have 20 new families a week that they're not new in bereavement, but they hear about us and they sign up to our programs.
These programs, are they for the parents and the siblings, or are they also for grandparents and extended family as well?
It's only for the core family.
And these people, what kind of trauma do you see them coming in with, and what kind of help are you able to give to them with the trauma?
So they come in with trauma of sudden death. It's so sudden, it happens without them planning it, without them knowing, and they're shocked. And a lot of the times I feel like the big help that we give them is that they don't know that they're allowed to still live. They don't know that they're allowed to be happy and smile. And we teach them that the fact that they're smiling and happy doesn't mean that they've forgotten.
These are lifelong wounds that people won't get over. These are things that people carry with them. What kind of comfort is to meet other people who've gone through similar situations like this?
So I can tell you from my personal experience, living in the world, in the regular world, no one really understands you. And you're very afraid. I was very afraid that people would feel sorry for me. And once our families and our mothers and our children come and are part of a group of people who understand exactly what they went through, they don't have to be afraid anymore and they don't have to hide it. It's the thing that connects them, and it makes it into not a positive thing, but in some way a positive thing.
You know, when you look at the international media, they kind of belittle the victims of terror. They make it like the terrorist and the terror victims are somehow on the same level. How does that affect someone who's gone through such a horrible trauma to see this in the international community?
You know what? I feel like people just do not understand. They don't understand that right now a family has been completely devastated. People say, oh, you can continue living, you need to continue living. Families who've gone through bereavement, who've lost a loved one, they don't continue living. They have to start a completely new life. And it devastates them. And a lot of families cannot recuperate from that.
This country has been through so many wars and so many campaigns of, terror, that on a Yom HaZikaron, on Remembrance Day, everyone knows someone who was killed, someone who was affected. How does this shape society?
I think we're all living with trauma. I think it's something that only now the state of Israel is starting to deal with. We've all heard a bomb, we've all got shot at, we've all had something. And I think that even road rage in Israel, I think it stems from that, from trauma that no one has taken care of. And now, these past years, people are starting to take care of their trauma.
You know, we see the people who are traumatized by the missile attacks from Gaza, that they have to run to the shelters, that, you know, they have trouble sleeping. Are those people that are helped in your programs as well, or is this strictly for people who may have been hurt in those attacks?
So in the past we have done that, but because there are so many bereaved families, we only help the core family of the bereaved.
How can someone help you with your work? If someone wants to support you or get involved or volunteer, is there a way to do that, or is it more, you know, you guys know what you're doing, and if they can just support you financially, maybe?
No, we're very happy. We really need financial support, that's for sure. But also, we're happy to have people come and volunteer and come and see the camps and see our programs. And if there's anybody who's in Israel and would like to help out, they can go on our website and contact us.
Eliana, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
So my message for the viewing audience is there's so much pain in this world, and it's our job to do good, and that's what we do at the Kobe Mandell Foundation.
Thank you, Eliana, for being on the show, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, the return to Zion with Karen Hayesod.
Shalom and welcome to the Return to Zion with Karen Hayesod. I'm Sam Grundwerg, World Chairman of Karen Hayesod, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. We live in a time where the God of Israel is fulfilling his prophecies right before our very eyes. Join us as we work together to defend the covenant.
Those who dreamed about the Jewish state, those who survived the Holocaust and found in Israel the anchor, the security, those who wrought the historical miracle and against all odds established a state. Those who stepped into the breach and defended the young Jewish state, so many of them paid with their lives. Those who arrived in the homeland to their new home. Those who propelled Israel forward step after step. Those who stand at the technological vanguard and the loyal partners who ensure the continuation of the Zionist enterprise. All those are Karen Hayesod, because Karen Hayesod is Eretz Israel. The return of an ancient people to their biblical homeland, a nation whose values inspired mankind, only to endure centuries of suffering. The ultimate tale of redemption from the ashes of destruction. This remarkable story is the story of the State of Israel. It is also the story of Karen Hayesod. Thanks to the dedication of Karen Hayesod's supporters, huge resources were available to make the State of Israel a reality. Founded in 1920, Karen Hayesod galvanized Jewish donors across the world in a unified effort to develop the infrastructure of the first sovereign Jewish state in 2,000 years.
אנו מכריזים בזאת על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל. היא מדינת ישראל.
By the time the State of Israel was born in 1948, Karen Hayesod's funds had been the driving force behind the establishment of over 900 communities in the Jewish homeland. Its donors helped found many of the iconic institutions we know today, including the Hebrew University and Israel's Philharmonic Orchestra, ensuring that as Zechariah envisioned, Jerusalem's streets would once more be filled with boys and girls at play. Karen Hayesod's supporters also helped rescue tens of thousands of desperate Jews fleeing a burning Europe, bringing them to the sanctuary of the land of Israel. Ezekiel's prophecy of bringing dry bones to life had been fulfilled. Throughout the decades, Keren HaYesod has been there for Jewish people coming home. In the 1950s, by financing the creation of still vibrant cities, Eilat and Sderot, bringing to life Ben-Gurion's vision of making the Negev desert bloom. In the 1960s and 70s, raising funds and providing a lifeline for the country's development during wartime. And at the close of the century, helping to bring immigrants from the four corners of the earth in a modern-day exodus, rescuing tens of thousands of Jews from Ethiopia and 1 million Jews from the former Soviet Union, delivering them from danger and distress. To this day, Keren HaYesod's activists continue their mission of aliyah and absorption. Last year, more than 31,000 Jews were helped to make their lives in the land of their ancestors. Keren HaYesod remains at the heart of Israel's development, as Israel's barren land has been transformed into a hub of creativity, innovation, and success. Keren HaYesod supporters have been there every step of the way. They have empowered 2,000 pioneering young Israelis to reinvigorate 65 distressed communities. All of this has been achieved through Keren HaYesod's ongoing efforts to build unbreakable bonds with Israel among Jews in the diaspora, Christians, and people of faith from across the world. In the book of Jeremiah, the Lord says, "There is a hope for your future. Your children will return to their borders." Every day, Keren HaYesod supporters are making this vision a reality. Thanks to Keren HaYesod, the State of Israel continues to grow from strength to strength.
Let's bless Israel together.
Now's the time for you to get involved. Assist Keren HaYesod to raise the necessary funds in order to bring Jews yearning for their homeland back to Israel. Your donation can help fulfill the biblical prophecy today. To donate and get information, visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
And now, shining light from Israel.
We are continuing on our quest to explore the Holy Land and connect to our biblical heritage. One of the most powerful ways to connect with our forefathers is to walk in their footsteps. And what better way to do that than to walk on the very path that they themselves walked. That's what brings us today to this road, known as Derech HaAvot, or the path of the Patriarchs. Come, walk with me. This stone is a real milestone. No, actually, it's a real milestone. The Romans used to put stones like this every mile on roads that were major thoroughfares. This stone connects us to the city of Jerusalem. We have found dozens of stones just like it with inscriptions on it, letting you know how far away you were or how close you were to the city of Jerusalem. This particular stone is 12 Roman miles away from the city of Aelia Capitolina, as Jerusalem was known back in the Roman period, so that a traveler along the way would know just how far he had to go to get to the holy city. Along the path of the Patriarchs, archaeologists have found a number of these mile markers, some of them still with the writing on it, chiseled into it 2,000 years ago. The Patriarchs' path was primarily a road that was used by pilgrims to go to Jerusalem on the 3 pilgrimage festivals. Along the way, there were different things on the sides of the road that were set up for the ease and convenience of those pilgrims as they went to the holy city. Here's something that they found along the Patriarchs' path. This is a public ritual bath, and it's one of dozens that they've found along this way. We know that it's a public ritual bath because there's a divider on the staircase. One of the requirements for going to Jerusalem on the pilgrimage festival is that one would show up in a state of ritual purity. One side is for the impure people going down into the water, and the other side is for the purified people coming out. And you wouldn't want to touch an impure person as you're coming out of the ritual bath. We are now inside the ritual bath, carved out of the very limestone of the mountain all around us. Nowadays, it doesn't hold much water because limestone's not very good at holding water. But we can still see some of the waterproofing agent that was used 2,000 years ago to ensure that this ritual bath held enough water to purify all of the pilgrims heading on their way to the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. In the first book of Maccabees, chapter 6, we read about the death of Eleazar, younger brother of Judah Maccabee. Apparently, the Jewish rebel forces were giving the Greeks such a hard time that the Greeks violated their treaty with the Roman Empire and brought out battle elephants to put down the Jewish revolt. The Jews saw these battle elephants and were afraid. They thought they were unkillable monsters. Eleazar wanted to show them that they could be killed, and so he ran at the lead elephant and he stabbed it with a very long spear, showing the other Jews that these elephants could be killed in battle. Unfortunately, the elephant fell onto Eleazar, killing him in the process. The Jews redoubled their efforts and fought valiantly, but in the end, the victory went to the Greeks. In the 1960s, modern Jewish pioneers established this town and named it Eleazar, after the valiant sacrifice of the hero who died not far from where we're standing right now. There's a lot more ground left to cover on the path of the patriarchs before the sun sets. I'm going to continue on my path, connecting to my biblical heritage. And as always, I hope you can come and join us.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Shanna Fold.
And I'm Yochanan Elrom, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.